Hey guys, today we're going to make some beef jerky and we're going to try a little bit of experimentation with different forms of tenderizer. One is going to be the store-bought tenderizer. The second one is going to be the lactic acid from sour cream, and we're going to have our control with no tenderizer whatsoever, and we're going to see which one is best. So first, we're going to start with our meat. I'm using shoulder roast, and we put it in the freezer overnight, not to completely freeze it, but just to tense up the meat and make it easier to cut. What you want to do is you can see the way the grain is going in the meat, and what we want to do is we want to cut against the grain. That way we're not having long stringy beef jerky, and it's more tender that way too to the bite. I also have a really big fat vein that I'm going to cut out just because it's not really good for the beef jerky, and it can actually make your beef jerky spoil. So let's cut that out quick. And the thing with shoulder roast too is the grain changes usually in between the fat veins, so we'll see a different layering of grain, or direction of grain on the other side of this. Yeah, here the grain is going up and down, versus here it's going along the top. So I'm just gonna cut up in between an 1/8 inch to a 1/4 inch slice. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to cut up the whole thing. Alright, we got it all cut up. And look at that beautiful marbleization. So now what we're going to do is we're going to load them up equal parts into our plastic bags or whatever container you want to use for your marinade. Again, we're going to be using a store-bought powdered or crystal form of meat tenderizer. We're going to be using sour cream and take advantage of the lactic acid, and then we're going to have a control that doesn't have any. I think the sour cream is going to win. Alright, so I got them all in the bag. I realized that the bags are so filled that there's not going to be a space to mix the curing salt and tenderizer. So I got some bowls. Let's start with the control. And if you do beef jerky the right way, it needs to be cured. And it also needs to be brought above 160 degrees. So what we do on our dehydrator is we just run it at 160 degrees, and it does the curing and the temperature at the same time while it's drying out. So, tablespoon per pound of pickling salt works the best. You can use kosher salt, but I think pickling salt works the best for curing the meat. We're just gonna mix it up, make sure every little piece of meat has got a little bit of salt on it. Salt also is really good at drawing moisture out of meat or anything. If you ever notice you put salt on avocado, it'll start to split after about 10 minutes. That's the salt doing its job. So if you can't get it on every single piece of meat, don't worry. it'll make the meat sweat and help the salt mix around. Alright, so our control is done. Of course, I don't want to cross-contaminate. So, our next one is going to be sour cream. We're going to go with another tablespoon of salt. And we're going to go with maybe start off with 1 scoop. We might need a second scoop of sour cream. Mix it all up. Should have brought a towel. You know, with the sour cream and the lactic acid, we want to make sure that every piece has got a nice, good coating on there. Okay. Alright, for the last one, I'm going to wash my hands and then we'll do the store-bought tenderizer. Alright, last bag is the store-bought tenderizer. So again, tablespoon of pickling salt and a tablespoon of this tenderizer. Alright, so that is step 1, tenderization. We'll seal up the bags and throw them in the fridge. Try and get all the air out too. And we'll see you guys in 30 minutes. Alright, it's been 30 minutes. I wanted to do a quick comparison between the 3 and how tender they are. So camera, come here.
come in mirror.
Alright, so this one is the original, or the control. It's not really that tender, nothing's really changed. This one is the store-bought meat tenderizer, and it definitely wants to pull apart more, but it's still holding together. And then the sour cream one, it's lost its color, losing a bit of its color, and it seems like it just almost wants to fall apart. Like, I could probably just tear it. Yeah, I can just tear the meat. So far the sour cream has definitely made the meat very tender. Over here, we have 2 different marinades that we're gonna do for the flavor. One is going to be original, and obviously it's a flavor, so it can't be original, but trade secret original is vinegar, liquid smoke, Worcestershire sauce, and soy sauce. And then over here, yay, we got some bloopers. Over here is a little bit of homemade barbecue seasoning. Actually, it's not homemade at all. It's a dollar store barbecue seasoning, McCormick Applewood smoked steak seasoning, and sugar. And once we're gonna gently wash, just a quick rinse all the salt and all the tenderizer off of the meat so it'll slow down with the tenderization process, and we're going to marinate that for another 15 to 20 minutes. Alright, we're all washed up and we're going to start marinating. I just want to point out with the sour cream one, it's okay if you don't get all the sour cream off, but you want to get most of it off. I think it'll actually add some good flavor to it. So what we'll do is we'll take about half, because we're doing 2 different flavors as well, and then we'll take a couple sprinkles of our dry marinade, mix it up good. And that one's done. And then we'll do the same with the others, and then with the other half, we'll put our liquid marinade in those bags. Alright, for our wet marinade, I've already measured things out. I start with a half a tablespoon of vinegar, a couple drops of liquid smoke, just enough to give it the flavor, a half a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, and about 2 teaspoons, maybe 1.5, somewhere around there, of soy sauce. We don't need to worry about adding salt to any of this because we already introduced a lot of salt into the meat, and it still has that saltiness to it, even though we rinsed them off. It absorbed a lot of it. We don't want to make it any more salty. We're going to make sure that all the pieces have some of the liquid on there, and then it's going to go in the fridge for another 20 minutes. And we're ready to put it in the dehydrator and start cooking. Alright, we're done marinating. And we're going to load up the dehydrator. That's what it's called, I almost forgot. The way I want to do it is have least likely to drip on the bottom first, most likely to drip on the bottom and least likely to drip on the top. That way, say I don't get my sour cream on my control and vice versa. So I'm going to start, I got my trays labeled as sour cream, and I've got a dry rub side and a wet rub side. I'm going to put that one in there. And you just want to space them out. This one's wet. Just, give a little bit of space, but obviously fit as many as you can. Try and conserve space. Oh man, the sour cream ones are just falling apart. And then 1 layer high. And we're just going to fill it up. This side is a dry rub with the sour cream tenderization. It is important when you are dehydrating beef jerky that you don't have them overlapping each other, because what will happen is that spot will still have moisture, and if you do try and vacuum seal it and put it in a put it in your pantry, that moisture will turn into mold, and then your beef jerky that you worked so hard for is just going to go in the trash. Here's the wet marinade with the store-bought tenderizer. Here's the dry marinade with the store-bought. So we got OG on this side and barbecue on this side. Alright, these pieces are our control with no meat tenderizer whatsoever.
I hear Bruce drinking in the background. Our dog.
And the control with the dry rub barbecue. I think that's good enough. Alright, we're gonna start the dehydrator and have them going at 160 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't ask me in Celsius, sorry for you guys. Get with us. For 160 degrees for 8 hours. So I'll see you guys in 8 hours. Alright, so it's been 8 hours and we got our 3 trays of beef jerky, or non-tenderized. The one with the crystallized store-bought tenderizer, and then the one with the sour cream. Texture-wise, the one without a tenderizer, it's got a pretty good texture. It's not, actually breaks apart pretty good. A little dry and chewy. This stuff, I don't know if you can see here, but it seemed like more of the tenderizer kind of crystallized on the beef jerky. Let's go with this one. I definitely tore a lot easier than the one without a tenderizer. It is a lot more salty. Still not overly salty, but it does seem more salty because the tenderizer has some salt in it too. Versus over here with the sour cream, it actually seems like it might be a little bit more tough than the store-bought stuff. In its own way. It's definitely not as salty, and it actually is easier to chew. It's not like you get some beef jerky and it's easy in your mouth if you chew on it for 15 minutes. I think the one without tenderizer and the one with the sour cream are really close. But I think the sour cream takes the cake. It is a bit more tender, it's not hard to chew, but it's still, dry, a little chewy like beef jerky. So it's a new test for everybody. Try out instead of using tenderizer or destroying your meat with a hammer, try soaking it in sour cream for 30 minutes. Alright, you guys, thanks for watching and have a good night.